Is it time? Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Sunnyside School District Board Work Session for Tuesday, May 26, 2026. The time is 6:30 p.m. And we will move to approval of the agenda. Do you have a motion to approve the May 26, 2026 Board Work Session agenda?
I move to approve the May 26, 2026 agenda.
Can I have a second?
I second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed?
No,
I'm kidding. We'll now move into discussion items. So we're going to start off with memorials and commemoration policy 2405. I think we'll hear from Gabe first. Oh, I've never seen that one.
Good evening. Okay. Well, I guess it says discussion. I guess to start the discussion, there's anything in particular that you were interested in learning or asking?
I think that just give us an update at where we're at now. I know that you created some more stuff and yeah, just give us an update at where we're at now.
So when I made the decision to move forward with putting the chairs at graduation, that started the process of planning. So what does this look like and how are we going to carry this process out? So through a lot of discussions with the leadership team at the high school, we were to put pieces in place on how we were going to navigate putting these chairs and contacting families and putting those pieces in place and to prepare to do it, to carry it out. So we've identified where the chairs are going to be, and that's all taken care of. I created a script, if you would, of protocols and how I was going to have a conversation with the families and the kinds of questions I was going to ask them. So I actually sat down with Adrian Martinez, the senior counselor, and we called all the families already, and we asked them the questions about the chair, if they'd want their name in the program, if they'd want their name mentioned at the graduation, and they all said yes. So all those pieces are in place, and we set appointments to meet with them on the day of graduation in the AM. That's when it's the quietest, because in the PM it gets super busy. So we have appointments to meet with these families, private appointments, because we didn't want them all to show up at the same time. And so we have those done. We're going to provide them with a cap and gown and a stole, and they're going to bring a picture, and we're going to escort them to the chair, and they're going to be able to decorate that chair with those items. So that's all done. It's all in place. And when we meet them, that's when we're going to give them tickets for the graduation. So they're going to get the same. There's 7 tickets every graduate. They're going to get 7 tickets. So all that's in place. Parents and families have been contacted. There's a little piece about what you do after graduation. Because if anybody's gone to the graduation, you know it's a pretty exciting event, and it ends with fireworks. And so everybody's celebrating, and the seniors walk off the field into the back area. And at that point, we still have 3 chairs that are decorated with items. So I decided that I was going to take those items in that very moment when seniors leave. Me and a couple other administrators are going to take those items and fold them up into a keepsake box. And we're going to actually have those underneath the stage. And so we were going to put those in the keepsake box and have those available for the families to come and pick them up Monday on the return to school. I can show you an example of one right now if you'd like to see it. So they're pretty nice. And then I had these stickers made and these emblems, and we kind of put them in the box. Yeah. And in the box, actually, this is my script for one of the families. We will have all their items in here, with their cap and their diploma and their diploma cover. These are the tickets we're going to give to them. All these items are going to be in here. We actually already have their diplomas, the posthumous diplomas, and so we'll make sure those are in there for them as well. And they'll come and be able to pick these items up on Monday. We just didn't want those items there on the chairs going into the evening, or have the responsibility of grabbing these personal items by somebody other than us that we know can make sure they're taken care of accordingly. One other item. Oh, I made appointments with them the morning of, and I think I told you because the afternoon gets super busy right before graduation. But we also didn't want to do it the day before. If you're recall graduations in the past, it can often get windy or sometimes rainy and stuff. So that's what we did in the morning. Yeah.
That sounds
But,
like a good plan.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
What was, I'm curious to know what like the responses were from the families.
They were all very open and excited, positive. Some emotions.
Mhm.
Yeah. But very positive about the questions and the things that I was offering them in that discussion, and they said yes to everything.
Gabe, is
Yeah.
there anything that we can do, even if it's like an empathetic email to the families that had asked for this in the past that didn't get it? Like an update as to, and it probably is very, it's just as a form of being, of showing them that we are empathetic to, they didn't get it in the past, but now this is what we're doing. And, we're sorry that this didn't happen before.
I guess you could do that if you're so inclined, but I think that this process has been going since February, and I think it's very public, and I think people are very well aware of what's being done and what's being offered and how we're moving forward in the future. And I would be pretty confident the people that may have wanted something like this in the past are very cognizant of how it's proceeding and moving forward. Yeah, I would be surprised if they weren't aware of this.
Just seeing the box that has been made, it's beautiful. Just thinking of the after, right? And putting it in a keepsake box like that, I think that that's very beautiful. Is that something that, no, I wouldn't even touch that subject, but just thinking of that and having a box for the families, I think that's very beautiful.
Oh, thank you. We've already are aware of next year's graduation, and I have more.
Mhm.
It'll be available for quite some time, just to, if that makes it clear.
Okay.
Any
Well,
other
thank you, Gabe.
questions or?
I don't have any other
comments?
questions. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Yeah.
And we are going to have a presentation online now from, I don't,
Do you want to introduce them, Anna? Okay.
Good evening. Could you guys hear me online? Hello.
We can hear you.
These are doctors from the National Suicide and Bereavement. I spoke to Dr. I'm not sure, I don't want to butcher his last name, Dr.
Schoenfeld. It's
No,
Schoenfeld.
if I'm not mistaken. And I was very great. He was very gracious to share with me a little bit. When I called him last time, he wanted to do a Zoom, and I go, I have a meeting, so I was in class too. If we could talk at another time, and I emailed, and they were very welcoming to come on. So if you could share a little bit about your recommendations.
Certainly. And I wasn't expecting to do a presentation, so I was more here to answer questions and help with the discussion. So let me introduce myself. I'm David Schoenfeld. I'm a developmental behavioral pediatrician, and I direct the National Center for School Crisis and Bereavement. We don't have suicide in the name of the center. And Dr. Tiffany Duplessis Barmore is a psychologist who's also with the center. So we came to be able to answer any questions that you might have. I can tell you some general points to start the discussion if that would be helpful, but I'm really here more to be able to answer whatever questions you have or things you'd like more information on. So what would be preferable to you? Do you want me to just give a couple general points to start the conversation, or do you have some questions that you wanted to discuss? But I'm really here more to be able to answer whatever questions. And I'm having trouble hearing the questions. if someone's asking me a question, it's hard to hear. What would be preferable to you? Do you want me to just give a couple general points to start the conversation? Or do you have some questions that you want to discuss?
Well, when I called you, it was about I asked you. Okay.
I can hear what you're saying. I just can't hear anyone else in the room yet.
It's just me. It's Anna Sines.
Okay.
So my question was about the chair at the graduation ceremony. Remember, I asked you about that in the
Yes.
recommendations, and you shared with me the policy that you guys were working on.
Correct. So we had already put out policy recommendations regarding commemoration for students at the time of graduation, included a number of different factors. So we kind of go over some of the guiding principles about what we feel should be the focus of graduation, and how you can incorporate some remembrance of people who have died, who are part of the school community within that, within graduation. But the overall goal of the graduation is a celebration of the success of students who are graduating. And we don't recommend that be diverted more towards a commemorative or memorial exercise or activity for students who are not able to join, irrespective of the reason they're unable to join. We also talked about kind of how you can read names of individuals who are not able to be present, whether it's from death or other causes. The granting of posthumous degrees, as it aligns with whatever your school policy is. If you feel you can only grant a degree for a student who's completed enough credits to graduate, then you would give a posthumous degree to a student that meets those criteria, unless you feel there's some other criteria, whatever the school establishes. We also talked about kind of yearbooks, posting tributes, including pictures, and you're trying to balance both acknowledging the contribution that the student gave to the school community, the connection of the students and staff to students after they've died, but also not, again, changing a yearbook into to be primarily focused as a tribute to a student that died. There are also issues that need to be considered about equity. So if you are going to do a certain practice for one student, you really want to make sure that it's equitable for other students in the future. And there are some considerations about certain situations or contexts where giving a lot of attention to a cause of death may actually lead to an increase in contagion effect in certain situations like suicide. So that's one of the reasons why it's a consideration for any student, irrespective of the cause of death. And we did not have a particular section in there on the empty chair, but we have added that because of the questions that we were getting from a number of school districts that they felt there should be some policy. So the issue of, do you want me to address the issue specifically about empty chair at this point? And we did not have a particular section. I didn't hear a response. We have added that because of the questions that we were getting from a number of school districts that they felt there should be some. Can you hear me okay? I don't. The issue of, do you want me to address the issue specifically about empty chair at that point?
Yes, please.
I have a
Oh,
couple
okay.
questions to ask you once you kind of finish what you're saying.
Oh, okay. So I think the issue around empty chair is in part.
I just don't want it to keep on going on and on and on because there's a lag. So he doesn't know if we're, I don't know how to butt in or how to say, I have some questions too. So.
Okay, well, I will just speak briefly then about the empty chair specifically, and then please do ask your questions because I did hear that response. So the issue with empty chair in part relates to setting up kind of a process which then gets repeated in order to be equitable. And for students who have died of certain causes like suicide, it can elevate attention given to a student's death by suicide, which may then contribute potentially to contagion effects. In other words, other students who feel disenfranchised, unincluded, ostracized, may feel that they will get more recognition if they take their lives through suicide than if they did not. The other issue around the empty chair really gets back to more the purpose of what commemoration is for. And the commemoration is really intended more to kind of remember and honor what the student, in this case, contributed through their life. Empty chair does not actually convey anything other than absence. So it more acknowledges the absence of someone, but does not create any type of legacy or lasting memory that promotes a better appreciation of what the child contributed when they were alive. And so part of the reason we discourage it is we think there are better ways to commemorate and honor students based on what they contributed when they were alive, not simply that they're absent during the ceremony. And so that's the other reason why we recommend doing something different. So I'll pause there and then you can ask whatever questions you have. Part of the reason we discourage it is we think there are better ways to commemorate and honor students based on what they contributed when they were alive, not simply that they're absent during the ceremony. And so that's the other reason why we recommend doing something. So I'll pause there and then you can ask whatever questions.
I have a few questions. First one is, how did you come to understand what was going on in the Sunnyside School District or the debate? How were you contacted? Do you know about the debate that's going back and forth within the Sunnyside School District? And I got a few more other questions, but I'll let you answer those ones first.
So the way we were asked the question was that one of the members of the school staff contacted us and asked the question. We are not intending to enter into a debate or to make decisions for your school district, and we have obviously no personal agenda in what the school does or how it does it. So we merely serve in the role of providing information as we provide to other schools and school professionals across the country when they ask for advice. We are not intending to enter into a debate or to make decisions for your school district. We have obviously no personal agenda in what the school does or how it does it. So we merely serve in the role of providing information as we provide to other schools and school professionals across the country when they ask for advice.
My other question is, do you understand the cultural differences or how a predominantly Hispanic community approaches death and how they honor, the people that have died in their families or whoever it may be? Do you understand the depth of that, or can you give me some, understanding on that?
There are definitely cultural differences, and we've worked with communities across the United States and actually international work as well. And there obviously are differences among cultures. So in no way do we make judgments about what's appropriate or inappropriate for a particular culture. So one of the issues is when you establish a school policy, you don't establish it for one cultural group within the school, you establish it for the school system. And so therefore, I do think in order to be equitable, you probably need to think about that when you establish your policy, unless your school system is only one cultural group is represented within the school system. So what I was talking about in terms of contagion effects are actually seen in all cultures that I'm aware of. And so the concerns that we have about it, I think, are generalizable across cultures, but that doesn't in any way minimize what a person, family, or culture views about death and what they feel is important to them. Are actually seen in all cultures I'm aware of. And so the concerns that we have about it, I think, are generalizable across cultures, but that doesn't in any way minimize what the person, family, or culture views about that and what they feel is important to them.
I have one more question. If the death is a result of a car accident or maybe a drowning or whatever it may be and not suicide, does your same understanding, is it the same thing when it comes to, does it still promote that kind of negative point of view, even if the kid did not commit suicide?
So there are a couple aspects to that. First off, we were talking about a general policy for a school system. And we do feel that you need to treat deaths in an equitable way so that you're not making judgments based on what you would do based on the cause of death. So if you do it for, I don't remember the circumstances in your school district. We got contacted by multiple school districts. I know in one case it was a car accident that was the cause of death. In another case, it was a suicide. And we've been contacted for cases where it's been a drug overdose. So when you make a response for a death from one cause, you really have to probably follow it to be equitable in other causes of death. And then that will include suicide. Suicide's the second leading cause of death among 10 to 24-year-olds. So it is not a rare occurrence, unfortunately. So if you do establish a policy, there's a very high likelihood you will be asked to apply it when a suicide has occurred. The other point that I was making about what the goal is of commemoration memorialization, in other words, trying to acknowledge and celebrate what the child contributed through their life, is going to be relevant irrespective of the cause of death. And an empty chair really does emphasize actually only the absence of someone. We also have found in schools where they've talked to the children directly, where they've had the time to be able to interview large numbers of students, that often students will, although they won't necessarily say this publicly or to victims' families, actually say they don't want to sit next to an empty chair, that would negatively impact them, or they feel that sometimes the student who's been selected to be highlighted in that way, there are other people that they know that have died who were not given the same kind of honor. Now, from what little I was able to hear, it sounds like you're doing this for all students. So you're not just selecting one student. So that is an important consideration to make sure you're not doing it just for one student. You're not valuing one children's life beyond another. So that consideration probably does not apply in your case, but often we see this start when there's been a suicide and a family has requested it. Is an important consideration to make sure you're not doing it just for one student. You're not valuing one children's life beyond another. So that consideration probably does not apply in your case, but often we see this start when there's been a suicide and a family has requested.
I don't have any more questions. Just go ahead.
I have a couple. So, Raquel Izquierdo, the school board president, I wanted to ask you, can you point us to any peer-reviewed study or documented case in which an empty chair at a graduation ceremony was linked to an actual copycat suicide or to any specific harmful behavior in students who witnessed it?
There are
I
no
haven't been able to
studies.
find anything in my research, so I really would like to see if you could point us to something.
Yeah. So number one, it wouldn't be possible to link a subsequent suicide to one activity that was held in a school at one point in a large group. They obviously are never going to do research where they randomize children to have empty chairs or not empty chairs at their graduation. So there are many factors that contribute to a death by suicide. It is usually not simply one isolated activity or occurrence, but because of the nature of how tragic suicides are, we are more cautious to try and decrease what we feel, at least through best practice, may in some way contribute. And their contagion in suicide is felt to be more common among adolescents than it is among adults. So high school students would be felt to be more at risk for a contagion effect, but you're not going to be able to tie it to an empty chair, to a single comment, to one activity that occurred at one point in time, particularly since these are kids who are graduating. So you really don't even have the follow-up with a lot of them to know what's happened. I wasn't implying that there's a reason to believe that if there's an empty chair at graduation, a suicide will occur within 24 hours. It's just more that the cumulative effect of certain activities are felt to be potentially contributory. So kind of best practice is to limit the number of those contributory factors as much as possible. It's just more that the cumulative effect of certain activities are felt more potentially contributory. The kind of best practice is to limit the number of those contributory factors as much as possible.
I like that you stated equity for all students, because that's really what it is, including the students that have passed. If we want to be equitable, we have to be equitable to all students, including them, even though we're not here. They're not here anymore. So I wanted to say thank you for saying that. Sandra, did you have questions?
I don't know if it's a question, more of a comment of, when we're talking about contagion, not saying that contagion is false, but only that policy recommendations sometimes rely on cautions rather than direct proof. So when we're talking about, I found limited research specifically proving that symbolic graduation memorials like empty chairs cause suicide contagion. So like Raquel, she asked that question. That was my question too, like what studies specifically examined graduation chairs? And I think he said there was none, right?
There are none that I'm familiar with. And when we've talked about this among other professional organizations, they did not have any familiarity with it as well. But it would be practically exceedingly difficult and probably impossible to conduct randomized controlled trials to study this. There are many things that we act on based on best practice and consensus agreements among professionals. And so the concerns about the contagion effect are actually, as I said, we are not a center in suicidology, and so I'm not trying to imply that we are. So we're trying to take information that's in the field of mental health from people who have conducted research, but have also cared for many children who were severely depressed, made suicide attempts, or had suicidal ideation. And so the consensus among those groups is to try and eliminate, or at least decrease to the extent possible, any potential contagion. And we also weighed that against the fact that there are other ways to commemorate children that we feel are more meaningful and effective for the students and the student in the school community. So it isn't that we are not saying you shouldn't do commemoration memorialization. We were saying that we did not think that the empty chair was the most effective way to do that, and it has a potential risk to it. And weighing that, we felt it best not to recommend it. We were saying that we did not think that the empty chair was the most effective, and it has potential risk to it. And weighing that, we felt it best.
Another thing is the question is, could practices considered harmful in one context be healing in another? Some cultures see public memorials as essential for respect and healing. And I don't know about you all, but the day that the students came in and gave their comment, that was a healing night for them. They were able to talk together and see each other's comments and see what this class has gone through. And I felt like that was also healing. So I also think that refusing acknowledgement may deepen trauma as well. So that comes on our behalf too, of how schools should teach safe discussion rather than avoid acknowledgement entirely.
So I do want to clarify again that if you read through our material, we also talk about the fact that not paying attention to the death of a member of the school community also is concerning because it does communicate to students that who feel disenfranchised, connected, overlooked, that in fact students are overlooked. So this had nothing to do with saying that you shouldn't talk about a death that has occurred, that you should. We believe strongly in the value and strength of commemoration and memorialization, and do actually provide guidelines about how to do that. We do not personally think that an empty chair at graduation is the best way to do that, but not having an empty chair at graduation is in no way the same as not acknowledging a death, honoring a person's life, or giving opportunities for commemoration and memorialization and healing for the school community. So simply because we suggest one particular strategy is not what we would recommend, does not in any way mean that we discredit the benefit of commemoration memorialization. And we have worked with schools to conduct commemorative activities, even to help establish permanent memorials when those are indicated. So I would not, if you are somehow interpreting my comment that it means we shouldn't talk about someone that's died or figure out how to engage students in commemorative memorialization activities, then that would be a misunderstanding of what I'm saying. So I would not, if people are somehow interpreting my comment that it means we shouldn't talk about someone that's died or figure out how to engage students in commemorative memorialization activities, that would be a misunderstanding.
I would like to acknowledge and thank you for your professional opinion. I think maybe it was the way it was conveyed to us, which is why we're asking these questions. But I also want to say best practice that uses data not built for our community is not best practice. It is just research applied without adjustment to each community. It has been shown over decades to cause more harm than good in communities like ours. Our students did the work to find the framework that basically fits us in this community. But I thank you for your professional opinion.
And I was sincere when I said that we are just providing recommendations and advice based on best practice. It's not that we have a particular stance that we think we have to defend in each community. We are in no position to tell you what you should do or how you should do it, but we can give you advice that's based on general best practice. And I would have you question, why that particular advice you don't feel fits for your community. I'm not aware of a particular culture which is grounded on an empty chair at graduation specifically. I think there are more cultural practices on the value of kind of community, of expressing things in social ways, of commemorating, memorializing. I would suggest that all of those cultures, all different cultures can do that in a way that doesn't require an empty chair during graduation, but that doesn't, unless that is a strong cultural belief in your community. I have not seen a community that's been based on that. But again, we are not trying to talk you into a particular approach, and I'm not actually here to defend a particular approach. I just really came because people said they wanted me present so that I could answer some questions and help you think it through. Unless that is a strong cultural belief in your community. I have not seen a community based on that. But again, we are not trying to talk you into a particular approach, and I'm not actually here to defend a particular approach. I just really came because people said they wanted me present so that I could answer some questions and help you think.
Dr. Tiffany, do you have anything to add?
I don't have anything specific to add beyond what Dr. Schoenfeld was expressing. I think the big takeaway is the overall objective of the activity, where the memorialization and commemorative activities are taking place. And so just really holding in mind, what is the overall objective of graduation, and what that memorialization symbolizes, I think is like really the take home of what Dr. Schoenfeld is trying to drive home for everyone around it, like looking at that and not again as a defense of one position over another, but just really giving information regarding what we've hold as research practice and best practices in working with various schools across the country and outside of the country.
Can I make a comment, please? I feel like, you know, death is one of those things that everybody grieves and carries differently in their lives. And I think over the last couple months, as we've evaluated this memorial policy, we've got to experience the different ways in which people grieve and how they carry things. I think the information that we were given tonight by these professionals was beneficial and greatly appreciated that they would take their time to do this for us, because it does answer questions and it allows us to continue this conversation. I feel like, though, that this policy is 2.5 pages long and we keep getting hung up on one sentence. And so I think we really need to just look at it as a whole and decide if as a whole we really want to pass this policy, or if this one sentence is going to make or break our policy. Because I feel like out of all of the areas, one sentence is getting hours of information. And I honestly, I think we need to either move the policy forward or we need to put the policy aside at this point. Gabe has already decided that he has a resolve for this year. And so if this policy is really, if this sentence is really causing this much distress, then we need to put this policy on hold another, you know, and really digest it more and further if that's the case. If not, I think we need to move forward. And if it gets approved, it gets approved. If it doesn't, it doesn't at this point, I think. Because I think we were just beating that sentence to death. Not to be, you know, sorry for the analogy, but that's just how I feel. I do appreciate the professional opinion that was given tonight. It does just allows a little bit more information into our conversation. And I appreciate Gabe's comments and his preparedness for this evening, as well as the team who has worked so hard on this policy. So those are my thoughts. Thank you. Thank you for your time tonight.
Completely agree, Jill. Thank you. I
Yeah,
think that, I mean,
if I can add one more thing.
Stone and how it's going to be, and we just work on moving forward. But yeah, thank you for your professional opinion.
Yeah, can I mention just one more thing before I sign off? So first off, I've been doing this work for over 35 years. And one of the things that I think is important to emphasize is that schools have made progress in acknowledging the grief of children and the staff in schools as well as the families. And I think those are important steps forward. So in no way do I want to discourage schools from having policies which promote commemoration, memorialization. And actually, I've devoted my career in large part to helping schools do that. You know, we've done training for the 9/11 Museum. I did training for the 9/11 Memorial, the Flight 93 Memorial. I mean, we have helped schools and communities think through how to thoughtfully promote commemoration, memorialization. And so I really do want to emphasize, I don't want the distinction of one aspect to suggest in any way that we should avoid commemoration, memorialization simply because people have differences of opinion or professional opinion on one aspect. I hope you will move beyond that and create a policy that you feel comfortable with that does permit this to move forward. So it would be dissatisfying to me if I felt that by raising a way that you might, the consideration that you should make, that in some way that suggested you should not do commemoration, memorialization, because I think that would be the wrong message. And so I hope you will think about that. And I also want you to know, I didn't see a draft of the policy. So I am not talking about your specific written document that you are reviewing today. I really only came to answer questions about principles and practices. So thank you for listening to me, and I will sign off as soon as you tell me you want to move on.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing your expertise, both of you.
Is there any further discussion?
Jill, the sentence that you're talking about, that we're stuck on one sentence, is that the one that says with family approval, the chair maybe sit out for a deceased student? Is that the one?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, the policy as a whole, as it's written, has lots of different areas. We have memorials, we have definitions, we have yearbook stuff in there. We have all this stuff, and we're really like honing into one sentence on this policy. And so that's where, for me, I feel like if this sentence is a make or break to this policy, then we need to remove the sentence and move on with the policy. If we are happy with the sentence as is and we can move on, then let's move on. But I feel like we're delaying a lot of this policy for one sentence. So we need to decide whether, like, we need to pick a path and just go down it, I think, at this point. And like I said, if we like it how it is and we want to set it up for approval tomorrow, and if it gets approved, it gets approved. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Then we move on from there. But Gabe's got a plan already for this year. But yes, I feel like we're all getting hung up on one sentence.
I think that was the initial conversation since the beginning. So I think the conversation has been hung up because we've been focusing a lot more on suicide when there's students that passed away, not just of suicide. So I feel like that's where we were hung up at, because on my behalf, I'm ready to pass this policy if we could tonight, but we gotta wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, we were, I think we were going along with it, but we had board members that wanted to be heard still and felt that they needed to be heard. So that's why we allowed for the opportunity for the doctor to be put on to hear what she wanted to be heard. So
Well, and I felt like that was very beneficial information. I felt that he was helpful. I just am saying, like, we have a big policy here and we keep going back to one sentence. I haven't heard anybody really talk about any other part of this policy the entire time we've talked about the policy, right? And so that's the only reason I'm just like,
can we move on, right?
Well, I think that,
I
I
get it.
mean, I think also it's important, you know.
You can sit up here, Jill. There's,
I have 3 kids at home that are puking. I didn't
Oh,
want to
okay. Yeah,
get too
please
close
stay
and
back.
personal. Yeah. That's why I sat in the corner. But I think it's great that we're having these discussions and that we have the opinions and everything. And I think that this sentence is very important, whether it goes or doesn't go, right? Like, it's an important part of it. It doesn't have to be today. It doesn't, if we really are getting this hung up on the sentence and we want more information before we push through this policy, we have time. Because the policy does not have to pass this week. It doesn't have to pass next month. We have a plan in place and we can really dive into this further, or we can say we're satisfied and we want to move forward. Yes.
nobody still, you had something to say.
I think it's important too that we invite somebody on that we at least give them all the information. I was under the impression that he was, just specifically talking about, or supporting a certain segment of, not having a chair and that kind of stuff, rather than just giving us information. And maybe that's my fault, I don't know, but that's what I, assumed, and maybe I'm wrong for assuming that. But the fact that he didn't have even a copy of the policy so he can kind of discuss every aspect of the policy and say, well, this is actually good because it's not just about I could tell that he didn't know what we're talking about because all he kept mentioning was the suicide aspect. He didn't mention nothing about the other aspects of us, talking about them more and that kind of stuff. And so I think if we're going to invite, guests on here to speak about it, at least allow him to get the whole policy so he can kind of understand where the debate's taking place. And second, for me, somebody wanted to be heard on this issue. I don't think that's a wrong thing, but it definitely wasn't me holding things up. I was ready to go a month ago. But certain issues came up and okay, we'll go another month. So I think, I really agree with you that we need to put this on the table. We need to vote on it. So that's my, words on it.
I'm with Jill as well. It's that sentence of the chair. I really think that it should not be part of the policy. And so would it be better for it to be a choice of the family to have that included, give them the choice instead of having that into the policy? So that's the one thing that has been bothering me. That's why I called Dr. Schoenfeld to figure out, to ask. And it was because like I read other articles, and that's why other schools were denied the chair because of his recommendations. And like I said, he's worked in different, like 9/11 and different across the country and the world that he's done work. So that out of all the policies, just the chair. I would rather remember student have like a Memorial Day every year versus just graduation. And that's just my opinion. Or if they're part of something they really loved, every year get together and say, okay, they were into this memorial or sports or whatever, and have that day special for that person versus just one day. And that's just my opinion.
I appreciate your opinion, but we can be here for days on end if we keep going back and forth. So I think that at this point, we move on. And like Jill said, if it passes tomorrow, it passes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then we can go from there.
But to go off of just one more thing, Anna, you're saying like, with the family, that's their choice. That's what it says in the policy with their approval. So we're not forcing it upon anybody. That's with family approval. If they want that, then that's something that is an option to them.
Yeah, I just don't like that sentence of the chair.
Right.
Let's,
And that would be that's up to the parent if they would want one or not.
We also have to remember that us being up here is just a voice. We don't choose what we want. We listen to the students which is what we did. And we listen to the community, and it's not there's a lot of things I don't like and I don't want.
Yeah.
And I can't,
and I've got some emails from my district. So, and that we're grateful and thankful that I thought of it this way. Because we do have to work what our district wants, not what we want personally.
right, at all times. Okay, moving on, if there's no further discussion. Moving on to policy, item B under discussion, policy review. And it'll be 5,000, 5404, 5202, and 5132.
5404.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she had pulled two, right?
5401 too, which is going to be.
So we're only doing
there's no
5404?
changes in that one. No, that one just goes to the second reading because there's no change.
Okay, I did want to talk about that one though.
Oh, okay. This is
Yeah.
a good time to do it.
So do you want to start with 5401 or 5404? Okay, so 5401. If I read it correctly, so it's going from the district can ask for doctor's note after 5 days currently, and it's going from 5 to 3? Okay. Oh, yeah.
The law is 3 and most of our contracts state 5. So the fact that a bargain agreement has 5 in it doesn't change it to 3.
So if it does, okay, but that's what the writing said, right? It changed it to 3?
That one has no change. That's not a change.
It's not a change. It's been 3 in the
5401 's not a
law.
change, that's a review. It's not in there because it was just a review. There's no changes.
Okay,
That's just.
so if an employee's contract or a teacher's contract says 5 days, is that not, so we have to go by their contract, right?
Correct.
what happens when it's not a teacher that doesn't have that contract?
We generally apply the same guidelines, but the law would allow us to go to 3. And it allows us to ask for it sooner. It's just as a matter of course, that's when it's requested by Laura Rice, this on. after day.
What I'm asking though is why don't we have it 5 for everybody equitably across the board?
We do put that into practice, but generally we would leave the law in place here and let the contract language enhance that.
Okay. So really it's 3, not 5
No, it's 5 for contract.
It's 5.
for the contracts,
Mhm.
right? What I'm asking is why don't we do that for everybody though,
We
not
pr-
just teachers?
We do.
We
It's
do
in, it's in,
practice.
it's in
In
across the board in
practice,
all of
not
our,
on the policy.
and in all of our bargain agreements, it's 5. We do have some employees who are not covered by a bargain agreement, and we extend the same
The
rules to
5?
them. Mhm.
Okay, it's just not in writing is what I'm asking,
For
Well,
the
the-
non-represented, yes.
right? Why don't we have it like that? Just to be equitable to everybody, just because like in my equal, I'm sorry, equal. Like for my professional opinion as a nurse, I can be sick for, knock on wood, 7, 8 days and I don't go to the doctor because I treat myself at home, A lot of people do that, especially with the way things, how expensive things are. And I'd rather save on a $30 copayment and take Theraflu or Dayquil, whatever it may be at home than go to the doctors. And I just feel that if we have it for 5 for people that have a contract, why can't we have it for everybody? So it's not, so it's 5 for some and not for others.
We do. And in our staff handbook, it indicates 5. This is the law, this is what's in the law.
So in the handbook, it does say 5 for everybody.
Yes, everybody's 5, but the
Okay.
law is 3.
That's just based on negotiations. So if at some point we couldn't negotiate the 5, then we say, look, in policy, we have to at least give you 3 based
I
on the
suppose,
state.
but we don't typically negotiate in that direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one is the second reading.
That's That's just a review only, no changes. And then 5404 is a couple of changes that she, we talked about.
So hypothetically, if I like wanted to change to 5401, I would ask for it tomorrow.
No, we talked about it now. Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
For 5404, if I understood it correctly, you can't take FMLA and pay leave consecutively. Is that what we're talking about?
It's encouraged that that if you have an FMLA eligible event, that FMLA starts right away. And so FMLA and PFMLA run concurrently most of the time. We have one bargained agreement that allows the employee to use them consecutively. And so what that would look like is somebody would take their FMLA and right at the end of their FMLA eligibility, they might start their PFML. So I mean, like that could work out, right? Because your FMLA starts as soon as your eligible event starts. And then if you didn't apply for PFML right away and you applied for PFML towards the end, it could start at the end of your FMLA eligibility.
So if both parents work at the district, then they'd have to share 12 weeks? Like if they were having a baby or something like that?
We don't, that's the law that allows that to happen. It's very common practice here that each employee, each parent takes 12
Has the
weeks
12.
or up to 12 weeks. That's very common. Typically, the mom takes the first shift and the dad takes the second shift, but that happens every year, multiple times. Because we do have a lot of families where both parents work in our district. The places that you'll see that we have done an adjustment on page 3 of 8, the third red paragraph down. Our time period for FMLA is September to August, so that would be added in there. It just before said insert how the district sets up the timeline. And the other change that we have is in the last red paragraph where it says that somebody returning to work after an FMLA leave, the employee who is out because of their own serious health condition must submit a fitness for duty, and we have may be required to submit a fitness for duty, because depending on what it is, if you have a broken leg and you're in a cast and then you're good to go after that, and the doctor says you need 8 weeks off, at the end of the 8 weeks, you don't necessarily have to go back to the doctor and get a release, but sometimes you do. So it just kind of depends on what the health condition is. We don't ask mothers to go back after their maternity leave to get a doctor's note that says they can come back to work. But if you had a shoulder injury and you were a custodian, that might warrant a doctor's evaluation to say that you were good to go and check any restrictions that you might have.
And on that one, you said you just changed the must to maybe, right?
May be required to.
So just so I understand this correctly, the red lettering is what we're gonna get as the wording on this?
Mhm.
Okay. And this is recommendation from WASDA?
And there's spots in there that allow for district, it prompts district rules. And so that's what Chris was discussing. Yes.
Rather than spelling out all the things that are in the law, it just references the law, so that makes it more brief.
It seems to be what direction.
There's another question I had on this one, but I don't remember which one. And this is only the first reading of this one.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
correct.
I know there was.
This one's first reading. Because we pulled it before the first reading because there was.
Okay, I'll continue to look at it.
And if you guys have any questions, you know where to find.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Mm, 32 is in order, or maybe.
52.
that's what you're gonna want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a review only. The other two that are in here are just for review. There's no changes at all. It's just been a while since we've reviewed these couple of policies.
And this one's super straightforward.
Very, yep, this is what we do.
You mean I can't use alcohol while performing this? Okay.
Okay. Are any questions on that? But 5132. Oh, it's short. The one sentence.
Oh, did I miss it then?
5132 is one sentence, I think, or two sentences actually. Yep. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
just protects the district if someone has a outside stipend type job, like a coaching job or something outside of our district. It just doesn't allow for them to take away from the job here, their primary job.
But it doesn't say that. They can't. It just
Right, they
can't interfere.
Correct, and we do have coaches pretty much every year that do coach like at Grandview, but they can't take time off from our, can't affect their job here.
So moving on to item C, board calendar. And then this reflects the changes that we talked about the other day.
You want me to go over?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I met with Raquel and Sandra the other day, and we went over the calendar for this school year, and we decided that we were going to do very similar next school year. Looking for it here.
You just have it
There
out.
it is. And so if you look at it, the schedule's basically the same. The Tuesday, Thursday meetings. The only changes are, if you go to November, we we piggyback the work session and the board meeting on the same day because it's a short month. Because of Thanksgiving. So the work session will be right before the board meeting. So 5 to 6:30 work session, 6:30 board meeting. And then if you look at December, it's early, and that's typical because of the December break. And then if you go down to May, you go to May, there's an extra work session in there on the 12th, and that's just for time for you to meet for the evaluation. And then if you go over to, oh yeah, July is the same as November. We're piggybacking the work session with board meeting. And so the work session will be at 5 to 6:30, and then the board meeting 6:30 on. So those are, that doesn't mean we can't discuss it and change. That's just the first draft.
And then how August we do the week before.
Correct.
The
Oh,
last.
yes, thank you. And August is early because the week after is one of the busiest weeks of the year. That's when teachers return. And then the kickoff and everything is that week.
I have a couple requests. Typically in June, we try to do Monday, Wednesday, or Monday, Thursday, so that, because the swim team.
Only.
Well, July is only one meeting. I can make that one work, and that's next year anyways. But I couldn't remember if we made that change this year. Did we not make that change for our calendar this year?
Did not.
Okay, it was
We
supposed,
talked about it.
yeah. Okay. If we can, that would be helpful. It's not the end of the world if we can't, but swim meets are always Tuesdays and Thursday nights, so it just makes it easier for me to be able to at least attend one of their meets during that week instead of missing both the meets. Or Monday, Thursday would be fine, so we can still keep with our Thursday board meeting, but maybe just the work session be on Monday, or have our work session be Thursday before our, if people can swing that before our, before our board meeting.
Yeah, it
yes.
is typical. A lot of districts do them on the same night because it's one night rather than two. So that does work. The only downside is you're rushed to finish the work session. And so
Yeah.
you have an hour and a half total. And so you have to make it pretty perky.
Yeah, although our summertime ones are a little bit
Slower.
more mild, but
There's less.
this year we may have a lot more on our plate because we're learning and catching up on a
Mhm.
lot of stuff, but maybe by then next year. The other thing is, Wednesday, May 12th. If we could keep that to a Tuesday, it'd be more, or Thursday would be more ideal, but I can make the 12th work.
Which one are you talking about?
The
May.
eval one, the 12th.
Your Wednesday
oh.
session.
Oh,
I know, it's like in the summertime, I'm like, oh, Wednesdays work. In the school year, Wednesdays are the hardest day of the week, because that's youth activity nights.
pretty much
So-
whatever you guys works for you, works for me.
Yeah.
You tell me.
So I wouldn't be opposed to changing that. If I had to make arrangements that night, I totally could. That's just pure convenience on my end.
No, but we're parents also, so,
Yeah.
We can
don't mind.
definitely work around whatever, you got going on in those times. I wouldn't mind.
Okay, when that Wednesday, I mean, and again, this is a year from now, but Wednesdays typically is just the night that all my kids and or all my older kids and my husband are all at youth activities. So that would mean I'd have to figure something out for the little girls that evening. But like I said, if I have to, I can work around it. If we can fix it, then that's great.
So how about we move the 22nd, June 22nd to the 21st? And then keep the 24th?
Sounds great.
Okay, and then May 12th, move to either the 11th or the 13th.
Like I said, if
The
it doesn't work.
21st.
So move the 22nd, June 22nd or the 21st?
Oh, that's next year. Yeah, I think that works. Yes. That's
You're
fine.
on 20.
I know. I'm a bit
Oh, I
early,
see.
but it's
Okay,
fine. Yeah,
and
that's fine.
then May,
May we go to 11th?
yes,
what day?
the 11th or the 13th,
That
either one.
works. That's
Okay,
fine.
so I'll move those two. So for May, the 12th meeting will be on the 11th now. Ryan will make those
Yeah, Ally,
changes.
do you have those changes?
And then for June, the 22nd meeting will be on the 21st.
Thank you.
Mhm.
How are you on this for this June, right? Because this is next year. How are we on for this?
Yeah, I would need to look at that. Ideally, if we could do the same thing, like just move our work session to the Monday, then it's nice if we can keep all of our board sessions on Thursdays, because then it doesn't confuse the community, but our work sessions, we can always be a little more flexible because we don't have, public comment. So if in June, we could change ours to the Monday, or the Wednesday, because in the summertime, we have less youth activities, so the kids,
So you're saying this next month we go to the 22nd?
sure, let me pull up my calendar real quick. Instead of the 20.
Next month.
So
Yeah,
it's on
the
15th, the Monday before.
15th.
Yep.
Yeah, so the 22nd would be great, and that Monday.
Okay.
Evaristo? Okay. So this for June, we're moving work session from Tuesday to Monday.
22nd, to the 22nd. Yep.
Okay.
What is our?
July is also the change that we were gonna do it the same, this July is next July, so July will be the same day as the cap, or the board meeting.
Would it be the 30th then?
So it would be the 23rd.
Or the,
No, it's early.
it's the 16th?
So it would be the 16th, would be both the work session and the board
Okay.
meeting. So 5 to 6:30.
So actually, that brings up a question
Yeah.
because Evaristo will be out of town and so will we. Well,
Oh, you-
Are we going to, is that when
Oh,
board
you-
is?
yeah, we won't
Yeah.
be
You're
back.
going to?
Where you guys going? You guys go on vacations together this?
No.
No,
for the-
Get on the invite list.
What date are you back?
Well,
Or you're
I
going-
believe that we're, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we need a quorum, so what do I?
Yeah, so we will be back on the 16th that evening. That won't make it in time for the meeting.
You want to just do the 23rd of July then?
I leave to Mexico.
That's right. But that'll just be you gone, right?
No, he's good.
Yeah,
Keep
but
that-
still have.
That's why I was
So-
asking you, like, we have meetings in
The
in December,
23rd,
right?
the 23rd is tight for me, but I could make it work if I need to.
Okay, what about, when are you back from Mexico? Could you?
I
you
can,
could
I
do
can zoom in from
Yeah.
Mexico, but I'm just like traveling the 23rd.
Oh.
Oh, I see.
So the 16th, you guys have a conference thing you guys are going to? Is that what's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let
And
me
then
see.
the 23rd,
Can we just say 21st then? Will that work?
That'll work.
we can make it to Tuesday.
21st.
Mhm.
All right.
July 21st.
21st, when one's going to-
Yeah.
And that's work
Yeah.
and regular.
Yeah.
No, you should be fine, Evaristo. If it's the 21st, we can all make it work.
Ally, you got that?
Oh, I can't, no, I'm kidding. Okay, so work
Are you
and
gonna be
regular.
gone the
5 o'clock to 6:30, then
Huh?
6:30.
No, I got,
Or are you
I'm
just
kidding,
joking?
I'm kidding.
Okay. I was like, oh,
Work-
Just let me know. I'm gonna need reminders.
July is
July
such a
21st.
busy month. It's crazy. And I know Brian usually takes his vacation in July. That's the
I
only
get
time he's
rid
on.
of this year, so I'll be, that's fine.
Okay. Mhm. We just have a virtual meeting for the month of July.
Better still get pizza for me, because I'll be here.
Okay,
Thanks for-
so
Okay, moving on. Stay focused, guys, please.
and I'm sorry, just want to verify for that one, we're gonna meet at 6 o'clock. Are we meeting
5
earlier?
o'clock.
5 o'clock
Oh,
on the 21st.
5 o'clock, that'll be a work session
Let's-
and board meeting.
Let's note that change so we're all on time, I guess, right? That's for me. That's not for you guys.
Yes.
So it's late.
can Holly, oh, she's not here. I was like, can Holly send us a reminder on the
I'm
school
doing
board
it
page?
Right.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, right.
Okay, perfect. It's in. Great. Thank
Okay,
you.
let's see. Where's consent? Ivy, where did you, there it is. Ivy, you're my favorites. You're on my favorites on my email. Oh. Moving on. Is everyone ready to move on? Can we move on?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you for making those changes.
Yeah. Item D, under discussion, consent.
Okay. So first thing on consent that involves me, because you guys have your minutes and your policies on there, but after that is the contract list ratification. There's 2 contracts on there. First one's Guardian Security. So we're required annually to test all of our smoke alarms, fire detection systems. And believe it or not, Jeremy pushed very hard on the vendor because he started questioning their time. He started doing some walkthroughs with them. He got about $12,000 knocked off of this. So last year, this was much closer to $47,000. Yeah. Because they had just a set time and he started challenging that. So yeah, I've been pushing on him to save $1 everywhere he can save $1. So yeah. So no, he worked, he saved us money in a different place. It'll come up next month too. But this one, so this is the, like I said, it's more about the sensors. It's what like our alarm system does and how it reports when there's an alarm. There's another piece to that we do annually, which is the actual fire suppression, but that'll be in a different month. So that's the first contract listed. And then the second contract listed is for the Key Leader event that's coming up. They have secured a personal services contract, it looks like, with Eric Garza for a DJ. So those are the 2 contracts. Then we go into payroll and vouchers. Okay. So payroll for April, this is what I would call a very basic payroll. There's really nothing of note. $7,383,203. We paid 1,007 people. So, but there is no big like scheduled payouts that happened, and there was nothing of any kind of surprise or substantial or unexpected thing that happened in April. The warrants, actually, if you push through those, most of those are fairly the same. There's nothing too crazy that happened, but we can definitely go through them section by section. The payroll one, of course, is mainly comprised of withholdings and taxes that are paid. So there usually isn't any question on that, but if there is, I'm happy to take it. General fund one, okay?
Yeah.
So this is
I know
our,
what it is,
yep,
but.
you have it on a transaction, yes,
but
okay?
can I shop around? I love school speed,
Yeah.
but 8 grand.
It's pretty standard.
Yeah,
Is it really?
it's very standard.
8 to 10, 8 to 12, I would say, for like a keynote type of speaker.
Even if we find something closer?
But it was.
Oh, so it wasn't
We
just
did
one
both
event?
ways.
Oh, good.
It was a family event and
Okay.
it would be high for 1 hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
It does.
Yeah. I just know because I mean I've seen them. They're great. We've seen they're always at our national. But saw that I was like, whoa, it's a lot of money.
Yep. That's, anytime I see a speaker, I always think, whoa, that's what
I mean, it's, I guess, we need them. It's a good, yeah.
I have a question on that same one.
Sure.
It is line 6 for that BMO credit card.
Mhm.
What is
So
that?
BMO credit card is the district credit card. So that's going to be things that can't be purchased with a purchase order. Airline tickets, hotels. We used to be able to take POs almost at any hotel, and there's hardly any hotels that'll take a PO anymore. It's almost all. Walmart does not take POs. So all of our purchases to Walmart, which we get quite a few supplies, go through the district credit card. There's a separate procedure. I mean, it does have to have pre-approval. It still all goes through me. They submit their request with what they're needing to buy and why, and then I approve it, and then they're able to use the credit card. So, and it goes through Merly. So we make it like a purchasing procedure, like a purchase order. But we are working because I don't like the credit card. It's a big thing in the audit always. We have to do a ton of substantiation and documentation. It gets pulled, and And it's a ton of backup. 1 month's credit card backup is probably, 7 inches tall. So we are actually working to check with Walmart because they sent us a thing that they could possibly open a business account for us. And so we have that with Amazon now. It used to be even higher because all of our Amazon purchases went through the credit card, but we did get an Amazon account set up, which now is nice because it works through the PO process. So the person puts in a cart, it creates a PO, it gets approved, it gets ordered. And so we're checking to see if we can get that same sort of system going with Walmart. But so that is just a compilation of many, many things. It is all accumulated. It's not like usually ever like a big ticket item. It's hundreds of small items. So like a school, each building site has a credit card that they can use to purchase their supplies once it's approved, but their limit is $5,000. Like Merle holds the biggest credit card because if she's going to do we're going to do in the past when we've done Avid, all the hotel rooms for Avid, $90,000. So she has a credit card that's $100,000 limit where she can put all of those hotel reservations. So that it's usually comprised of like travel and Walmart and then the few vendors that won't take purchase orders. And but it does go through the same approval process that a purchase order goes through.
Okay.
I have a question on one of the purchases.
Sure.
The one for 137,995. Is this IPFS Corporation?
Yep, this is our monthly liability insurance payment.
Okay.
That we will pay that through July. So, and then we did get notice that our rates are going up again. So it is, we got the lowest renewal rate, but it still is a substantial increase that we'll be looking at for next year. So I can already predict that we will continue to finance. This is basically IPFS is you're financing your premium instead of having to pay it up front. So we will continue to finance our premium because it's just too much cash.
Line item 96 on general fund 3.
Okay.
Hold on, did we have any other, we're skipping,
Okay. And
I'm sorry. That was,
anything else on GF1? And
oh, I thought we were on GF2.
no. Anything else on GF1? Okay, GF2? This is like our food one, right?
food
Yeah,
and MSDR.
okay.
Yeah.
All
You guys are starting to get these down.
I know.
Okay, GF3?
Let's see, 90, what did I say, 96? So those dues, those are, where are they monthly dues? The more board member dues? I could have sworn that was on last time
Let me
too.
look. I think the one that we paid last time was WASDA dues.
Oh,
but-
you might be right, it was
and this
WASDA.
is not annual. And so the girls, they've started, looks like they didn't catch this one. They're starting to try to put annual or quarterly or
Oh, okay.
monthly next to that, but it looks like they didn't catch it here.
Okay,
But let me confirm that it is just annually. Yes, so the last time we paid this was April 15th of 24. So it looks
Okay.
like maybe it's
year.
every other year.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
And I think this question came up last time too on item number 38 with comprehensive. So what, like those services, are we paying them for, like, remember I had asked,
Right.
do they bill students? Are we paying for certain students to be seen? Like, what are those fees right there?
I'm gonna let you, do you want the microphone to answer? Well, I'm just gonna say, otherwise Gabe or Doug might be able to give us,
Yeah,
they've
I-
been checking into it.
Actually, just got an update from Gabe before the meeting. They're actually meeting with comprehensive tomorrow, I think. They were under the impression from comprehensive in, I think, last August, that they would charge about 60,000 a year. They now are hitting the $120,000 mark for the high school alone. And so the high school cannot afford to have a $120,000 mental health bill. And so they are renegotiating. We'll probably go through ESD. Yeah, ESD is 60,000 a year and comprehensive has been 120. So their grants simply can't maintain that kind of amount. And so I asked Gabe, your question, I said, if they are collecting from students, whatever their healthcare is, then why are we paying so much? Their answer was any kids that are not insured, that have no source of insurance, then that's what they're charging us for. Doesn't add up to me, $120,000.
Right, so is it a
Yeah.
flat rate that they are charging a
We
year?
don't know yet.
or-
That's what Gabe's meeting tomorrow to
Okay.
find out. They did not sign an MOU, is my understanding, in the fall, and they were supposed to. So there's a lot of questions, but the bottom line is we can't maintain it.
Right.
The school district can't, the high school can't. So there's alternatives, and that may not be the right one. Yeah.
Good
So
catch,
that's all I
Senator.
know.
Inspire Educational Services. And you see there's a 16,640.
What line item is that?
Is it
Oh,
73?
this is,
I'm looking in the.
it says sped nurse services. So let me see if I can get a little more detail. I believe it's the nurse for a specific student, but let me check. Inspire Educational Services, psych services for the school year not to exceed 1,260 hours. So I don't know why it says nurse, it should say psych. What is this? So it's contracted psychology services.
For Inspire though?
Inspire it's not Inspire that's here. It's
Okay. I was like, wait a minute, that's,
no,
thank you.
It's a different vendor entirely. So they're out of Idaho is where their headquarters are housed, but it's a contracted company that bid on our psych services through like an
Okay.
RFP.
And then also for, I see $6,000 for Rita Mendez Serrano. What was that for?
That was the trainer for the dual language professional development. It was a 3-day dual language.
Okay,
I think they're in there twice because we also did
Yes,
like 2,500 for some travel costs that we paid upfront and then the 6,000 after.
okay.
I have a question on line item 107 and 159 on the elevator. There's 2 charges on elevator. Is it?
So we have annual inspections that we have to do, but we actually had to do some repairs.
Okay.
So we have to get our new elevator certificate because we have elevators at the high school and then we have the one at the Lincoln Building.
Mm.
And then there is some maintenance that had to be done. So there was some charges above the inspection.
Okay.
Speech consultants, 85,210. Is that district-wide speech consultants or?
Yes, let me pull up the
143.
the 85,000. So one thing that I really appreciate about Cody's office is they have worked really hard to get all of these contracted services on purchase orders. So I can click on see the detail. So this is an open PO for speech services for the 25-26 school year, not to exceed 6,863 total hours or 185 days at 5.3 total FTE per day. It's $100 an hour. So this is a district-wide service provided to students where we don't have enough speech staff available.
So that's for like the ones online as well? Or is it in building people?
No, I don't know this one
Or staff?
exactly.
Okay,
It's either online or they could come, but then if it's online, we have a paraeducator that then sits with the student
okay.
and works through and then we're always every year, Cody and Chris, they recruit to try to get more of our own in-person SLPs when possible. But like that varies by service. So like in this coming month, the bill will be 58,000. So this month it was how many hours they put forward. So it was 85. They bill actual hours of service.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for general fund 3?
The Yakima Valley College for 373,000, is that like our running
That's Running
start kiddos?
Start.
Nice.
running start.
It's our running start.
Expensive.
Only if we knew someone over there.
Can you get us a deal?
Give us like a discount or something?
Percent discount.
Anything else for general fund 3?
General Fund 4 is very small. It's the elevator again. And our ASBs are pretty small. And then the only one I was gonna point out specifically to you guys over in capital projects, there's a semi-large payment to Millig, so that is the final retainage payment for the high school Harrison HVAC project, so. A year and a half later, we're done with that project, so.
Man, that's awesome.
And then you'll see on there, we have some of the other projects that we're kind of starting. So K&D Machine are working, we talked a little bit last month there, Ryan put in his memorandum that we're modernizing the bleachers at CK to make them more safe. And some of the parts that the bleacher company couldn't get anymore, so we are having them manufactured. Some little ends to the bleachers, and then the MAP project is part of the safety grant, where we're they're going through and mapping the cameras, so in an emergency they could find them quicker to identify where they're at. It's a list of, you know. And that's it for vouchers. So our budget status summary, this page right here. This shows where we are in the school year. Really just works for the general fund on a percentage basis. So we have expended, we're on month 8 of 12, which is 66.67% of the year. And we have expended 66.79. So we're almost exactly right on for expenditures for the year. And then you'll see our revenue drags a little bit behind, just because that's mainly due to grant claims, because the claims come in a month behind. So we're at 64.88% of projected revenues. The purple sheet to me, which is the easiest sheet to kind of show where we are in a snapshot for every fund in the district, you'll see that we did pop up this month in cash balance. We're up over $4 million. And then if you look at this sheet, you can see that we also popped up this time last year. Don't get your hopes up. It's going to drop down again, but we'll pop up again by August. Yeah, sorry. Well, especially if I looked at May's apportionment, the state, because of their shortages, shorted us about $500,000 in some funding because they don't have enough money to give it to us. So they'll catch up with us in July. June usually gets a little tough too, where we'll drop down again. But for April and May, we feel like, we feel okay for a hot minute. So, but just that kind of shows our cash flow. And then it shows here that we're just tracking along with where we've been historically. Capital projects, we're down a little bit just because we paid that retainage payment, but we're right in the kind of the land of where we want to be. Debt service, we've kind of built it up a little bit with the tax collection that just happened, but in June we will make our second bond payment of the year, and that's going to wipe out most of debt service, which is expected. ASB kind of trucks along right around that $300,000 mark, and then transportation vehicle fund is fairly large, and we do have 3 buses on order that are coming sometime in June. And that's gonna wipe out a chunk of that. Those are about, I think, 200 and 250 a piece. Fuel.
Yeah, the electric buses are about double.
Yeah, so, and the state did go through and change, so we were projected to get, I think, 900,000 on our depreciation this August, but the state went and redid the formula to fix some of their budget woes. So they dropped our depreciation is going to drop to 600,000 that we're going to get in August. They're going to go backwards, I guess. And some districts are getting none. So I guess we should be happy to get 600,000. But that is the general fund and the other funds. I am going to give you guys a heads up just for reference data that most likely I'm going to be bringing you a budget extension. Jill knows about this because it happens on the regular. I had hoped not to have to do one this year, but the summer school grant most likely is going to push us over into where we're going to need a budget extension to be able to expend more expenditures than we did. The summer school grant right now, Sandra and I just worked on the budget revision on Friday and got it submitted with our updated enrollment. And so it's a $1.2 million grant. So it is quite larger than a grant you would normally expect to get mid-year that you didn't have planned for. So I'm still running the numbers to see where we're going to land, but that would be something I would bring to you this summer with the reasons why we need to extend the budget to allow for the spending for the summer school grant. The good news is they are going to help. They're going to actually let us have some of that money in advance. So we don't have to front all of that money out of our pocket and then get the claim backwards. They're going to give us a chunk in June, and then they'll give us the rest at the end if we meet the attendance goals. So we do.
Oh, yeah.
We do, and we're really hopeful and excited about it. In Michigan, it's in its 3rd year. So if things go well here in Washington, we hope it will be something that we can continue.
We're up to 800 and what?
We have over 800 kids registered.
We're aiming for 5.
We had put in our original budget 550, then we were allowed to exceed that by 25%. So we revised everything to the 670. And then we know we're not going to get everybody that registered to show up in the beginning. So we just need 70% of that 670 to meet our attendance goals.
All right, then any more questions for Ivy?
No, thank you, Ivy.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ivy. Personnel is a very long list, probably the longest of the year. Mainly it is the summer school positions. I think that's the first page and a half. Summer school, summer food, 21st century, sports, a lot of sports, movement, which I'm sure you've heard about some of it. So there's a lot going on this month with personnel. If you have any specific questions, Chris is right here too.
Yeah, I have some questions, and I know that I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it's the same question I had last month. And I know you and I talked about it a little bit, Ryan. It's just, I just keep wondering at what point in what's going on with our budget and our staffing do we start looking at admin numbers? Nothing against admin.
Yeah.
I know we need our admin to run the schools, but I feel that, you know, I was talking to you about the open position at CK. And I was looking at our numbers and stuff after we had our conversation. I really, really would like to see what it would look like, or how, if it would be save some money at all or anything, if we just restructured, like instead of not hire for an AP at CK, and either move one AP from Harrison or one AP from the high school. I know that we mentioned that the Harrison is 700 kids, this prototypical model, I get all that. But again, the prototypical model is a formula, right? It's not a mandate. So when I was reading it, it said for 700 students, it's recommended to have 2.58.
Yeah.
How many students do we have at Harrison?
7 something. We have, I don't know, 7 something.
So
Can I?
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, you know,
Yep.
if we expect teachers to take on more workload because we have to get, you know, we have to get rid of some teachers, then we should expect the same from admin, I feel.
Yeah. Yes.
And being that, you know, there's 2 APs there, there's how many at the high school? 4?
No, because one of those is CTE, so it's 3 plus the principal. 800.
808.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And then, you know, also looking, do you know how many total of the teachers that have gotten let go were sped?
I don't know the number. It depends on the provisional status. I'm not sure.
Do you guys know?
I don't know.
Yeah. Just one was sped?
Yeah.
Okay, because our sped numbers are down, if that's what I remember you saying?
Yes, there's a multi-part answer.
Yeah.
But first part is you said we need to look at the admin. We do always look at admin. It's like we look at every position. Admin, like every other position, is based on numbers of the school. Okay, so if you saw the model, at the high school, they lost one last year, so they have reduced one based on numbers. There's only one AP at every single school in our district, except for Harrison and high school. There's only one AP across the board. So those are very tight numbers. Admin positions are based on the number of kids. The other groups, like teachers, are based on the number. 20 kids is approximately one teacher. So I'll give you the reverse. So some years we had a lot of extra kids. So many years the high school, I had to hire like 7 teachers one year. We didn't add admin when you added 7 teachers. Admin are attached to all the other groups. You add or delete different groups, doesn't affect admin, because admin has a set formula based on the numbers of the school.
So,
And
but
so,
if
yeah.
student enrollment affects teachers, then shouldn't it affect admin?
And it does.
It doesn't, it
But
does affect admin.
there's
It's a higher number?
no, because the teachers, so you have 100 teachers at the high school. Okay, so you lose 20 kids, that's one less teacher. Or you add 20 kids, that's one more teacher. You lose 20 kids, that doesn't affect an admin. Because the admin would have to lose a chunk of kids because it's the entire school.
How many kids did we lose this year? Did we project that we lost?
Yeah, district wide. So the other piece too, it's not out of one school. This is divided among 8 schools. So you divide 300 and some by 8 schools, that's what, 40 kids per school. So 40 kids per school, gain or loss, isn't going to be a change in administration. Either way, you wouldn't add an administrator. If you gain 40 kids, you wouldn't add an administrator either.
So like, what about like the SPED department? I know that you guys had mentioned, I don't know if it was you or Chris that mentioned that
Yeah.
our SPED numbers were really down.
Yeah.
And we still have, do we have one director for SPED? Or just,
We
or
have
do
one
we have,
director for SPED, yep.
and then
There's
one an assistant, right?
Correct, yep, correct, yep. So SPED is based on, like right now, it's based on the number of IEP students. So years
That's what I was
ago,
gonna
like,
ask. How many IEPs?
yeah, so years ago, and I don't know every contract off the top of my head, but years ago, the high school numbers were about 40 IEPs per teacher. Okay, a SPED teacher had about 40, give or take 5. Now the numbers are significantly lower than that, and so we're trying to get the numbers back where they should be. Chris, do you want to add on to that? So yeah, and I understand the concern and everything else. It's a valid question. It's more complicated because you're talking about a very small group in the district against the largest group in the district. And so those two things aren't aligned.
I had also asked for, and I don't know if you were gonna get it from me, Ivy, or you, that
Yeah.
I wanted a list of admins,
Yeah.
what grant they were paid
Absolutely,
for
yeah.
through and what their salary is.
Absolutely.
I'd like to look at
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah.
The one other thing too is I know like last year, yeah, because this is
What's
the
this?
first year that Bethany's been at Harrison and Adriana's been at Washington. We had technically 3 admin at Sierra Vista, which we never replaced that third. So when she left Sierra Vista, we lost the dean of students there. He just became the AP. So then there's no dean of students there. So there have been shifts, but it's just not as noticeable or talked about when they do happen versus, if we lose a teacher, we all talk about it a lot
Correct.
more too. So there have been shifts.
And
but-
I do want to add, like, I could go back every year, but like last year, we moved one district administrator to CK. That's what we did last year. So there's one less last year in the district office. There's only a couple that aren't district funded. He's one of them. The other, we lost 2 district coaches that were at the district office. How many of the district employees? I can't remember the numbers. Ivy's position, that's another one we absorbed. So just the district office last 2 years, we lost, I think, 5 that, the numbers, 5 or 6. So that's just the district office. So every year there's going to be a reduction when the enrollment's going down every year there's got to be a reduction in teaching staff because of the reduction in kids. But there aren't enough administrators reduce equally, or even every year you'd run out of administrators. You have to have people to run schools.
This came for you. I forgot.
We have made significant cuts. It just might not be all 1 year. It might be spread out over 4 years or 3 years.
Probably junk.
Yes.
Out of our teachers that we couldn't renew this year, do we know how many of them were able to find placement back within the district?
I have a question on this one right here for resignations, retirement, and termination. I do see that we're not renewing the gang and substance abuse prevention specialist for Sierra Vista or the Harrison Middle School.
Yeah, Chris, you want to speak to that?
I'm sorry, Chris, if you could come up here, or if you
Come
want
on
to
up.
pick up the mic, just
Yeah,
because
what do
we're
you
on
want?
live.
I can give up my mic. It's fine. I got you, Chris.
Let me get to where you are. Yes, I see. Yeah, I'm where you are now. It's about grant funding and what's available to fund those positions. So those duties will get reassigned to the other non-reps in those buildings.
So other people absorb
Yeah.
what that person was doing
Mhm,
because they've been cut.
mhm.
Grants are smaller.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm speaking loud enough. Correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it part of our SRO contract that they are supposed to provide some of those services as well? They are supposed to provide some gang and substance abuse prevention as well, I believe, in their contract.
I imagine they have a piece of that. Yeah, I don't know what.
But I don't know how
Yeah.
much we're actually acting upon that, so we may want to look into that too, because we are paying for that advantage.
Yeah.
Just because I assume that they are the ones that would be running groups, right? For like substance abuse and stuff. So that's a good, what you say, Jill, on the SRO, if that's part of their contract, that'd be good for them to run groups like that too, for
Yeah.
gang prevention and substance use.
Is mental health in there too as well?
Is what, sorry?
Mental health, like the ones that outside agencies? Do we have that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, just, I don't know
Yeah.
if that might be
Yeah.
something they
Right.
would do,
Yeah.
or counselors, and they have the caseloads and stuff, so,
Yes.
yeah, all right.
We have many different case managers. in
Yeah,
secondary.
that do different tasks, okay.
So with the sports resignations and termination stuff, I know that, you and I
Yes.
have talked about it, but the community wants to know, because I keep getting calls and messages about what's going on with the football program. I tell them I still don't know. I don't know if if you would like to say something about that for people that are listening, if there's
Yeah,
anybody
we just
on.
had some resignations and we are hiring new assistant football coaches right now.
And we had just hired most of these, right? All of them.
Rehired.
Rehired,
We had
yes.
just
They've
rehired
been in the
them.
program for some years. Yep.
And the position's still open and it won't be able to close until Friday for assistant coaches. So if anybody knows anybody that would be an amazing assistant coach, encourage them to get their application going.
So we lost how many?
6.
4 or 5, 6?
Correct, yep.
Has anybody applied, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep, we have quite a few.
more dropped in today, applications, so.
A lot of interest.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm ready to move enrollment whenever you guys are. Or unless you have any more questions.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to items for good of the order.
All right, the retreat, I think I sent also an invite and I also put it, I think, in the memorandum last week, the June 15th. We are, and I'll send you more details later, but June 15th, 8 to noon is going to be with WASDA. And then in the afternoon, we're going to do around an hour with Sandra and team building. She has some personality, what is it called? Personality tests.
Yes.
To learn how we each tick. And then we're going to have an hour with Ivy. And then we're going to have an hour with goal setting for next school year. So that'll be the whole day. That'll be about an 8-hour day. So, and I'll send you the details this week. So June 15th.
You know what time we do that?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Yep. 4 o'clock is the hard stop. Yep.
And is there any comments from the board or items for good of the order? Anybody have anything? Sandrita? No? Okay. Moving on then. I didn't know if you had heard me, so I'm like, hello.
Please do.
Oh, I got you. So I don't really want your phone, Mike. Have it right there.
So Ivy will not take credit for it, but Ivy and her fantastic team just finished a very clean audit, but I'll let Ivy talk about it.
Yeah, so you guys should have all got emailed the report, but it's a lot of blah, blah, blah. So they had just a couple minor exit items for us, a couple policies they want us to update. One of the policies we just did, that bid one, WASDA had a section missing in their policy that they've handed out to everyone. So most districts have got that recommendation to update. So we have a couple policies that we'll bring into you just with some tweaks in the future here, the next couple months, but no concerns at all about our controls or anything. And so this was our federal and financial audit. So that's the first one. And it's, we just got the bill for it. It's a spendy little sucker that we have to pay for, but we did get what was considered a thumbs up. So now we're in the middle of the accountability audit. It is, a lot more paper pulling, and we're submitting things, and it involves them going out and speaking to like ASB and that sort of stuff. So that one is a little more, goes a little deeper into some other avenues, but this was the first one was the federal and the financial audit. And that's the one that gets you like the findings and in the newspaper. And so we were happy to get a good pass and a thumbs up. So
Good. Okay, if there's no other comments from the board, can I get a motion to adjourn the May 26th, 2026 board work session, and then we will be going into executive session. Let's see. Can we do this first? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Let's move, right? I move to adjourn this meeting.
Get a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we will be going into executive session to review the performance of a public employee, and we will start with 1 hour.
Of course.
No, you can't use it.
I started.
Yeah. go.
5 minutes.
We'll start in 5 minutes.
And
Let's
then
go.
we'll go with that.
Yeah.